This is your fix.
I'm your host, Stassi Schroeder. Welcome to Tell Me Lies, the official podcast. What's the most unhinged thing of season 3?
Steven, because he's so evil.
I do think he is misunderstood.
You see everyone face consequences. It's intoxicating.
The writers just know how to trick you.
There's always a twist in this show.
Tell Me Lies, the official podcast, January 6th, and stream the new season of Tell Me Lies, January 13th on Hulu and Hulu on Disney+.
You know how a body empowering move is supposed to be you standing in front of a mirror naked, deep breathing, loving yourself, listing all of the things that you love about your naked body. Here's me. Weird nipples, thanks to the armpit waxer of 2022. My patchy comb over bush, thanks to perimenopause, I guess. And now fat vagina. Yes, I said fat vagina. I Googled fat and then typed the letter V, and Google populated vagina, revealing that I'm not alone in the quest of why. Why a fat vagina? Why? I've had enough bullshit in my life. Now this? How did I get here, you ask? Well, my mind works in mysterious ways. Fat vagina. It has a cool ring to it, like an obscure poet or a punk band. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome to the stage Fat Vagina. My husband listens to my podcast, so this will be another tick box. Oh, God, bad choice of words. I hope I don't get ticks on my box. Anyway, I guess the lights will never come on again in the bedroom. According to Google, this is an estrogen, cortisol, perimenopause, menopause thing. I'm sorry that I bragged about never having a hot flash. Basically, the goddess of menopause said, on behalf of all of those with hot flashes, where you have not, I giveth thee a fat vagina, which, by the way, is apparently the hardest part on a woman's body to lose weight. Are only fans into fat vaginas with an orange comb over? Add a pan up to the weird nipples? Welcome to the Fuck You 50s, the podcast for women who refuse to tolerate the bullshit anymore. This is real talk, real stories, and a long overdue reality check. I'm your host, Andrea Claire, and this podcast is the filter-free voice you've been waiting for, with a dose of F-bombs. The Fuck You 50s, unfiltered, unapologetic, and undeniably needed. My guest today is Syd Bosel, a stand-up comic and comedic storyteller who has proven that life doesn't just go on after 50. It gets a hell of a lot louder. For 30 years, she was on the front lines as a family support worker, helping parents and foster parents navigate the chaos of the under 5 crowd. But at age 55, she decided to pick up where she left off many years ago, microphone in hand. She has grown into a nationally touring comedic powerhouse who has graced the stages of the Winnipeg Comedy Festival, been featured on CBC's The Debaters, and is heading to the Halifax Comedy Festival. We're diving deep today into the fine art of stand-up, from navigating Syd's spot in the green room as a peer, not a mother hen, and on stage where sexism and ageism often blind others in a youth-obsessed industry. But it's not all about punchlines. We're talking about the power of the platform, how Syd uses humor to tackle what life throws at you, like surviving breast cancer, the reality of adult children, and the raw, honest journey of living with a spouse with dementia. Syd, welcome to the Fuck You 50s.
Where are you, Andrea?
I'm in Toronto.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you have any shows, like if you're going to be touring around here, you have to let me know. I'd love to come see you.
I was thinking about that this morning, that I've toured Ontario, but I've never actually performed in Toronto.
Oh, well, maybe your time has come, right?
Maybe, yeah. I'm certainly meeting a lot of people from Toronto. So, yeah.
Yeah. I definitely wanted to talk about your comedy career, because that's obviously what brought me to you. But I find it so interesting, your background, that you worked with families and parents and foster parents for 30 years before you got into comedy, right? And as a parent myself, I know sometimes we need comedy to kind of get through some of the trials and tribulations of parenthood and children.
I was 31 when I had my first kid, so I'd had a pretty full and interesting life of adventure, traveling on my motorcycle and doing fun stuff. And I felt alone and isolated and out of my comfort when I had kids. And I started going to a family drop-in center called South Vancouver Family Place in Southeast Vancouver. I really didn't feel like I fit in as a parent. Once I started having conversations with people and finding out that they too had a life and a history before having children. My image of a housewife was not realistic. And then so I started being involved in this nonprofit society, and I participated in a support group. I was invited to train as a facilitator for that program. It's called Nobody's Perfect. It's a Canadian national support program for parents of children 5 and under. It's considered preventative. It's not necessarily for people in crisis. And so I trained in that, and then I then I went back to school to become a counselor. And so I went to night school when my kids were rather young. I took one course at a time. It took me about 3 years to finish school. And so I started working at different nonprofits doing direct support with the parents and running support groups. And then eventually, very near the end of my career, I was invited to do a job with an agency that had a contract with the ministry, the Children and Family Ministry, on foster parent support. And eventually in that position, I became what is called the FASD key worker. So I worked specifically with foster parents who had kids with very difficult neurological disorders like FASD and other stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That must have been really challenging.
Yeah, I supported the adults throughout my career. My training is in the developmental psychology of children. So supporting the parents and having the key was for them to have appropriate expectations of their children's developmental stage. Yeah. So
that's so great that we have that support system. And that's across Canada?
Yeah. It sure is. Yeah. And so the only thing I do now in that field is that I train new facilitators for the Nobody's Perfect program. So twice a year, I go to Vancouver or somewhere else and train a bunch of new facilitators.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And you did that for 30 years?
Yeah, progressively.
Wow.
I started off as a peer and then went back to school and eventually left as
There's always that once you hit 45, 50 plus, like we're still alive and thriving and doing things and pivoting. I just feel society's still stuck in this like, oh, she's older, she needs to slow down. But obviously that's not us. We don't slow down. Like what age did you kind of hit the comedy bug?
Well, I tried it when my kids were young. I think they were like, I was losing myself, I was losing myself so badly. And, I tried, I'm trying to think, I think my kids were like 3 and 5 or something like that. And I tried to do it, maybe even younger. And I just couldn't do the late nights. Like I'd get home from the club, a comedy club at, 11 o'clock at night. And, the kids are up at 5 or whatever.
That's not so funny.
That's not funny. Yeah. But I will say that I started by taking a class at the local high school, was offering night school classes in stand-up comedy and sketch comedy. And so that's how I very first started. But it was just too difficult. But I did find, and I will say that this to, any women that are listening, that it really changed my attitude toward parenting, because everything that the kids did that normally would just piss me off or stress me out or whatever, I started to think about it as comedy and how I could turn that into material. And it really had an impact on how I reacted to my children. Yeah, so I started seeing, oh my God, that's so funny. And so I started writing about, my life, my everyday life. And then it was agreed upon in our household that maybe I should not become a stand-up comedian just yet. It wasn't really working for our family unit, and
Right.
which was enormously disappointing. But I did feel like I wanted to get back to it. And so when I was um, when I was 55, I started in earnest, and that was because 2 years prior to that, I I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I went through over 2 years of treatment, and that just really knocked the shit out of me. And I realized that I'd better, if there's stuff I want to do, I'd better do it, because we don't have any guarantees of when we can start doing this later on. Like, what's later on? Thursday? Like, so
Yeah.
we're not guaranteed for any length of time. So anyway, so I took
It's so true. Sorry, I don't mean to cut
that's
you off,
it.
but it's funny too, because I feel like a lot of times as women, we do have a lot of our dreams and desires and things that we want to do kind of get pushed along the wayside until later on in life, and then there's certain like wake up calls that we have like individually where it's like, this is something I've always wanted to do, and I just need to do it. And I feel it's kind of sad that we don't get to do it until we're maybe 40 plus.
Yeah, that's generally speaking. It depends on the supports you have, right? Like,
Yeah.
Julie Kim is a mother, and she's a very successful Canadian comic, but her husband supports that. He's home with their child, and supports her being able to travel and run a business. I didn't have that.
Uh-huh.
My husband was a construction worker, and that just wasn't flying at our house. I feel like we have a lot of considerations, and if something's causing us more stress to do it, then we have to really debate on whether or not that's going to be worth it for us.
Yeah.
It was really swimming uphill for me to do comedy when my kids were young. It was very difficult. Maybe I wasn't organized enough, but I most certainly didn't have the supports in place to be able to do it.
Well, and like you say, like late nights, because you do have to do the club circuit, right? To kind of get
Yep.
your name out there and practice your material. Yeah. So my job is hair and makeup artist, right? So I freelance, and there was a huge chunk where I was a single parent with 2 kids before I got remarried. And, like just finding the support for that. Like I had a neighbor that lived up the street that her daughter was best friends with my older daughter. And that's kind of what got me the ability to work, because my ex-husband wasn't so gracious with his time. Couldn't have
Yes.
time to
Yeah.
babysit his children, as he liked to say.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
yeah. And so when you took the big leap to kind of start focusing on comedy more full time, you said that was around 55?
Yeah, that's right. I was able to start in earnest in 55, and I was living in Vancouver then. And so I started taking classes.
Uh-huh.
There's an array of stand-up comedy classes available, and online and in person. And I did in person ones. And the big thing for me was that at the end of all the classes, there would be showcases. And
Uh-huh.
so I got to do a performance. And another thing for me, too, was uh, I'm very community oriented and pretty sociable. And so going to classes built community and made me feel safer and part of something. I did go through a time when I really couldn't imagine anyone n- needing or wanting to hear anything that I had to say, which I feel like that's a part of being home with young kids and stuff too.
Uh-huh.
You just don't know what you've got to contribute.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I guess your audience at that point is kind of your kids, right?
Yeah, yeah, and some tears. I mean, I met people in that family drop-in that, and through my work eventually, that I felt valued by. And I remember somebody saying to me one time at the drop-in when I was there with my kids, she said, "I love it when you're in crisis, you're so funny."
Oh, gotta
Yeah,
laugh to keep from crying, right? Yeah.
yeah, Yeah.
You were mentioning too that often you're like the oldest one in the green room. So how do you find traveling with other comedians that are younger than you? Like, do you find that they sometimes try to treat you like a mother hen, or do they look up to you? How does that dynamic work for you in the green room?
I think it largely depends on their experience with older women, especially. There's one there's one comic who's never hung out with anybody my age or gender, and he doesn't quite know what to make of me. What did he call me? He told me I was total hard ass. No, what was it? Something like that. I was just chatting about, traveling on my motorcycle, and he's like blown away because I think sometimes if people have no experience with the next generation,
Yeah.
especially in gender, they kind of think that we were born at 55 or something. Like, I don't know what the hell they think we've been doing all our lives. But anyway, we do a lot of things. We get a lot done. We create opportunity for ourselves. And so it sort of depends on people's life experiences, but I really don't encourage the mother hen scenario because these are my colleagues and
Yeah.
they're my equals, and I'm not really the mother hen type anyway. I do remember one time there's a comic that has been clean and sober for like 10 years or something. I had not known him when he was actively using, but one time after a show, he people were going out to smoke a joint, and he said, "Oh, I'll come. I'll have a cheat day." And I had a visceral reaction to him, and I actually said to my colleague, "Don't be so stupid." Like, it just came out of me, like this was some of my business, and then he was kind of blown back, and he said, "I was only kidding." Said, "That's what I say like every day." And then I realized that his album is called Cheat Day, so
Oh.
so I totally felt. So I'm not a mother hen, but I'm definitely still like a grown up.
Well, that's a thing too. You can look at it. I mean, I guess there was that influence from being a mother and your background, but then just like peer support, it's like if you see a peer that's kind of like traveling down the wrong path, we do want to tend to kind of help correct them if we're helpful peers.
I've been in the scene long enough now that I'm really enjoying witnessing the evolution of these young people that I started comedy with. So I've been doing comedy for about 11 years now, and like I just spent the weekend with a guy that I met in Vancouver, and now he's in Kelowna and he's married, and on our day off, he and I went to the library with his kids.
Perfect.
It was so much fun, and it's such a joy to see these young goofball guys that are living this life of kind of a rock and roll lifestyle, and then they're not.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very delightful to witness. But yeah, the oldest person in the green room. So I can tend to be shy, and it's quite painful. The most difficult part of being a comedian for me is being in the green room, because unless like, I'm not good at small talk, and I really have to fake it
Yeah.
to make it in the green room. Now it's a bit different because I'm on shows that I'm invited to be on, and people know who I am in the green room. But yeah, I find it quite painful to walk into a green room when I don't know people, and people literally wonder why I'm there.
Yeah. And for sure, I definitely could see that. And I also feel that with comedians or any kind of anybody in the entertainment industry, when you're in a room full of them, it's all these different personalities. Some are outgoing, some are not. And it's just trying to, I would imagine, just trying to figure out how you kind of fit into that. I've been in green rooms as a hair and makeup artist, but kind of my place is usually kind of just sit down and be in the corner in case the person I'm with needs a touch up.
Yeah, well, you've been in a lot more green rooms than me over the years, I'm certain of it, and you do know of the dynamics, that's for sure. A lot of these people are old friends, and they don't see each other very often or frequently, right? So they're quite delighted to see each other, and so they talk a lot, and
Well,
I do feel kinda left out, but that's because 'cause I'm not a very good conversationalist, I don't think. Like, a lot of them they just talk about hockey and the business of comedy. And we did a tour during the Blue Jays playoffs, and that was like that dominated the conversation a lot. And yeah, and then if they start talking about their kids or something, then I can chime in. But I find it's kind of, I'm shy.
And I think that's okay too. That's just part of your personality,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, it's weird. I've had some interesting experiences that I would say were ageist. People not knowing sort of who I am. Not that I'm famous or anything, just that they don't know why I'm in there because I don't, one of these things isn't like the others, right?
yeah,
And so I've actually there was a show with a professional photographer taking shots, candid shots in the green room. And she was actually like shifting um, her angle so that I'm behind her, so that I'm not in the shot, because she probably was being very professional, not
yeah,
knowing who it was, that I shouldn't be in the pictures for the website or whatever, because I'm not a comic. And at one point, she's like I'm sort of like almost stepping on my feet, trying to, take a shot. And I said to her, I am a comic too, because I noted that she wasn't taking any pictures of me,
yeah.
and she actually said to me, "Oh, good for you." Yeah.
I'm so
So,
sorry. That's
I
awful.
don't know what else that can be construed as, She obviously didn't think I was a comic, and then she
Yeah.
still didn't take any pictures of me. I don't think she realized that I was actually on that show, you know? I guess that's what it was, and then I intentionally did an exceptionally good set, because she was taking pictures while we were on stage as well. I came off and she said to me, "That was actually really good."
No words.
Like I'm like, I'm the same status as all the other people on this show. Like, we were all doing the same amount of time. I
I
wasn't a 5-minute opener, right? It's just, that it's just shocking, isn't it?
yeah,
Like, I don't know.
it's really shocking.
Yeah,
I've seen it though. I definitely have seen it. I've seen it towards me as well in some situations. And I just wish, like, that's about the other people. Obviously, that's not about us. And I think in these situations, people need to learn when you see someone in a room to say, oh, so what brings you here? It's not so fucking hard to introduce yourself and make someone feel comfortable versus standing in front of them and elbowing them back out of your way. It's just, I've been taking, at Second City, I've been taking improv classes,
mm,
and, it's funny. There's a woman that's in my improv class that almost every single class she sees, and she relocated to Canada, so her mom lives somewhere else. And every time she sees me, she's like, "You remind me so much of my mother, and I miss her so much." And on one hand, I feel like, okay, that's endearing, I guess, but it actually bothers me that she does that every fucking time. Like, I kind of feel like one time, fine, but it's like we're all here to take a class together. So why
yeah,
is it like suddenly I'm the mom of the group? I mean, I am a mom, but
yeah, but
it doesn't make me your mom.
yeah, yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? I've walked into theaters and with the other comics, a bunch of young men, and, and the staff don't believe that I'm also a comic. Like, I've had, we walk in and the comic in the front of the row of us walking in says we're the comedians, and then I'm like third person, and they sort of step toward me and I feel like they're gonna stop me. And I said, I'm one of the comedians too. And they've laughed, or said, "Oh yeah, right," or something like that. Yeah, so and it's interesting because my image is in the advertise. I've walked on stage and heard somebody in the front row, a young man in the front row, say, "Oh, what have we got here?"
And do you ever engage your audience then? Like, how do you like, I guess what they call, what you people call in the biz, stage work? Is that right? It's crowd work, crowd work. The word was coming out there.
Um, I did acknowledge that I did say, "Oh, he just said, what have we got here?" And, and laughed and made, you know, some joke about it. There's a wonderful, production company that I've been working for, quite a bit called Jokers Canada, Canadian, comedy production company, and that's who I mostly tour with, and this is where like we all do the same amount of time, and he hires just headliners to do the shows, and I've been mistaken as somebody's mom that's come along for the ride, sort of thing. So in response to that, the best thing that I can think of, but sometimes I get kind of frustrated with it, but it really is about perception, and my way to address this is to take the high road and to be a very good comic,
Mhm.
and get the recognition that I deserve because I'm a good comic. And usually I usually follow all these young men, like they do their sets and then I come out. So my first thing is surprise, like people, you weren't expecting me, were you?
Yeah.
Um,
You say,
be-
thank you so much for all my openers.
yeah, no, no, no,
You can have that.
no, I wouldn't do that. I don't think, I know you're joking, but,
I know.
like, I'd rather put myself up than anyone down,
Yeah.
and also these young men are all there's been one person that has been difficult, but all of these young men, have been very good to me, and, they're delightful, good people and excellent comics, so
Mhm.
yeah, so I really enjoy it. And one of the greatest things, there's so many things about comedy that I appreciate and enjoy. But one of them is being around younger people that are so creative and so smart. They're so smart. Oh my God. These people, oh my goodness, they're so um they're funny as hell. Like most of them are really funny in the car, um and
That's where it's probably funniest, right?
oh,
When there's not an audience.
absolutely. It's the most fun in the car, for the clown car, I call it. Yeah.
I know a lot of times, like, I've watched some of your comedy on like, doing my deep dive on you on YouTube and whatnot, and see like a lot of things that you talk about. And you do talk about, of course, like your family a little bit and some things in your background. Do you find it's almost kind of like a healing kind of thing for yourself when you're talking about things that you've gone through in a comedic way on stage? Or is that just part of like material that you can pull from?
Well, it's material that I pull from. I don't do any political stuff. I do only stuff largely about myself and my family. When I started comedy after treatment of breast cancer, I could not talk about that. And I started writing about it. I was taking a course, and my objective in taking that course, that stand-up class, was to be able to start writing about that. And I would write part of it, and then I would try to perform it in class, and I couldn't really do it without crying.
Mhm.
And, that's not appropriate on stage. So I kept working on it, on the delivery, and then the first time I ever did it on stage, my sister was watching and she knew I was losing it. So I had to stay in character and be more animated and silly and everything. And now it's been a process, but now I can do that material and not get emotional. I got to a stage where my opening line was, I had breast cancer for a while, but I didn't like it. And then people would applaud me. And then I got emotional. Like, I didn't want them to do that because, of course, we all have it in our lives, right? Like, we know somebody or we've had it. And it's very a sensitive subject for people for different reasons. So now when I do it, I can get through it no matter what without being emotional. But the reason I keep doing that is because I have a platform now. I have a platform that is exactly, what you identified when you invited me on this. That for people to hear me talk about it and to see me on stage, sort of having come out, knock on wood, so far anyway, out on the other side. This is important to people to witness for an array of reasons. And I very often have people come up to me after a show and speak to their journey with cancer. Just the other night, I had this man shake my hand, and he was a man younger than me. I'd say he was probably in his mid-50s. And he shook my hand and he pulled me close and he spoke into my ear. And he spoke to having lost his wife to breast cancer 2 years ago. And he told me that he was so pleased to see me doing well and out having fun and living a life. And he was so happy for me. And, this is why I use my platform. This is why I speak about the difficult things in life, because I've had many, many, many people speak to me about, I'm honestly, a week ago, I had a lady say that she has, she's living with breast cancer now and that it's terminal. And that she was so pleased to meet me and to see me having fun and having made it, knock on wood, right? Anyways.
Do you find, is it hard for you, or do you, like, when people come to tell you their personal journeys and what they're going through or what they've seen, like, is that hard for you to listen to, or?
It is.
Yeah.
It is, because I feel for them very deeply. It is. But, yeah, I mean, honestly, like, it's funny because I just finished doing these shows throughout the interior of BC, and I had some very profound responses to people. Like, I sell merch after the show, which gives me an opportunity to have these little chit chats with people. And this lady said her husband currently is battling cancer. Her daughter's battling cancer. And it's like, Jesus Christ. I gave her one of my merch items.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck. People have this shit going on in people's lives. And Andrea, I've been asked before, the sort of the delights of comedy. And when you see people crack a smile and start to laugh, or rock in their seats, or a man usually uncrosses his arms and he's actually enjoying me, it's an absolute delight to it's a privilege. It's an absolute privilege to bring some laughter into a person's day. It's the best thing.
Yeah, I can only imagine, just to be able to brighten someone's day and let them take a vacation from their own life, or however long the set is.
Yep.
Yeah. So you did Canada's Got Talent. When was that?
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
That was in 2023.
How was your experience with that?
It was a good thing to do. They want an angle. They want a story, I ran it past my husband. There was a couple things I could have used, like surviving cancer. I was on the verge of wanting to start to write some material about my husband living with dementia. I ran it past him. And I ran it past my family. What do you guys think that I use this opportunity to speak to that? Because I know what it's like to be the partner of somebody with this progressive, totally shitty disease, and I like the feedback and that I get around the breast cancer material. I wanted to start speaking to that subject, so I decided that we would out ourselves as a family, and speak to that on national television. And I kind of regretted it. I regretted it because I had left it. It was a thing that when I was doing comedy, it was not something that I had to talk about or think about, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as I came out about it, I'd show up at a show, and other comics or people that work at the club or whatever would say, "How's Ron?" I'm like, "Oh, fuck." Like, I'm here to work.
Yeah.
To be in a certain headspace, a creative headspace, and now I'm being reminded of this enormously challenging part of my life. So I did regret it, but the horse is out of the barn now, so I'm figuring out how to navigate life with that.
Do you prefer that I don't use this in the podcast? Because I don't have to use it. No,
I'm out. We're out.
Okay.
We're out. And I think it's important for people to see and hear. I've got an enormous privilege in that we moved to Vancouver Island to live closer to my son and his family so that they could support us as I did comedy, and Ron needed supports. And so I couldn't do comedy without them. So now I'm at a different stage, I couldn't do comedy when they were young, and now it's a new challenge. But so Canada's Got Talent was interesting for that reason, that was a personal thing, but also it was enormously intimidating.
Where was that filmed?
In Niagara Falls, Ontario.
Okay. I used to do hair for Canadian Idol, but we did that downtown Toronto. But yeah, just that to be on stage, whether you're used to it or not, is just a different beast, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Reality TV.
Very nervous. When I did the sound check, they're very good, and you'll know this from television productions. They're very, very good at handling the talent. Like, they don't let us wander around on our own and get lost, thankfully, because those backstage areas could be horrendously.
Oh my God, how black it is backstage if you don't know where you're going.
And on the tunnels and it's my worst nightmare to be in a green room by myself, having to find my way to the backstage. Anyway, I was brought to the stage to do the sound check. The theater is empty except for the techs. And I walk on stage, and there's the booths with the X's on the front of them, right? And it's like, oh, Jesus, this is just like on TV. Like, this is the real thing, right? And I was to do a 5-minute set, Andrea, and I opened my mouth. I couldn't think of one single word of my set. Not one single, I couldn't even speak. And that was
the epitome of stage fright.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that's what that looks like. Yeah. Crazy, eh? I'd been sitting there, as like, you're there for hours and hours and hours before the show, right? And, you moved from one room to the other, and you're interviewed and all these different things. And then I get on stage for the sound check. Nothing. I couldn't even speak. And the guy that, the tech that was handling me was very sweet. And I said to him, Jesus, I hope I don't like completely shit the bed for this, which is a comedy
Yeah.
expression of doing badly. And he said, oh, I shit the bed and I'm not even on stage. That was so sweet. It was so nice to say that for me.
Oh my
So then I
God. I had a
wrote
colonoscopy yesterday, so I was shitting the bed.
oh my God. I've never,
Sorry, just
no, that's okay. That's I actually asked my doctor for one because like I want, for the material, right?
well, yesterday, you'll appreciate this being a comedian. Yesterday, when they were just giving me the sedative and putting me in the position, I just kind of looked back at the doctor and I said, I'm not really into anal.
Oh, I'm sure he hears that all the freaking time.
I don't know. They seemed a bit shocked, but also funny. And then the anesthetist replied, and he says, not really is not a no.
Oh, a funny anesthetist. That's awesome.
Then I woke up in recovery. Well,
You went out with a bang. Boy, that's a funny line. That's a great line. Good for you. Yeah.
So funny.
I had
and just to let you know, my colonoscopy was fine. Everything's good down there.
Glad to hear
back
that.
there.
Yeah. I had surgery once where I'm in the room and waiting for the surgeon and everybody's setting stuff up in the room. And the nurse that's setting up the tools and stuff, she's fucking got a twitch. She's got like Tourette's or something. She's like this. And I'm like, oh, that's not the surgeon, is it? Like, that's the last thing I saw before I went under. Was going like this. It's like, holy shit.
The stitches are a bit jagged, but everything else is fine.
Yeah, I've got like a Harry Potter scar.
Oh my God.
What were we talking about?
I don't know. Sorry. We were talking about, reality TV and the fun joy that comes with that.
So I totally had stage fright. So I wrote the beginning of my set on there on my hand so that I sort of be at ease with it. And then the experience was pretty good in total, except it's all a secret, right? Like you can't even tell anybody that you were on it.
Yeah.
Never mind anything else, and I didn't get past the audition. I wish I had. That would have been cool, but the audition was televised, and it's a good credit. So
yeah,
okay.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what the. Sorry, I should have looked into this one, but the debaters. What's the debaters?
Oh, bless you, Canadian podcaster.
Okay, to be fair, I was living in Singapore for 15 years, so.
Okay, so the debaters is such a good program on CBC Radio. It's been around just over 20 years. And, I raised my kids listening to the debaters. We loved it. And for me to be on the debaters was absolutely the thrill of a lifetime for me. Like it was just the coolest thing.
Okay.
And so it's a comedic debate. We're given subjects and then we debate each other, two comics. So it's filmed in front of a live theater audience. That's really super cool to do.
And it's just audio? Because I honestly was looking on YouTube for it and I couldn't find it unless I didn't look hard enough.
Yeah, it's just audio. They have some stills and stuff a little bit. Like they have on Instagram, they have a short clip and stuff like that. Yeah. But it's just so you could go to where you listen to your podcasts, or you could go to CBC Radio and look up me, and you'll find me debating.
So what's next up on your agenda? What's your next thing that you're working on?
I've had the good fortune. Well, I mean, it's not luck. It's like I've been working at it. Good fortune to have some other milestones that I've been working towards. And so I was on the Winnipeg Comedy Festival, which was also like a huge thing for me to be accepted into that. I applied and they accepted me. And so I recorded that last year. It's not been on TV yet. because it's again, it's for television and
Mhm.
it's in front of a live theater audience and everything. And the production aspect of it is so fascinating to me. Like they freaking know what they're doing, man. What I love so much is that it's all comedians that are the talent, right? So they don't leave us alone for a minute because we're all a bunch of goofuses, and so like they almost literally take our hands and bring us to the next place to stand.
Yeah.
And it's
You're
very
like, "I'm not that old, you don't need to lead me."
well, I thought that too, but then they're doing it to everyone. I think
Okay.
it's just that they've learned from experience not
Yeah.
to leave us alone. And so I was standing on the wing of the stage behind the curtain, waiting for my turn to go on. And the handler said, I want to put my hand on your shoulder. Okay. And I said, yes, like whatever you say. She said, I'm putting my hand on your shoulder. And when I let go, you walk on stage and they're going to be recording you from the second you walk out of this curtain. So whatever you're going to do it right away.
Yeah.
And do not move until I take my hand off your shoulder. Do you understand? Yes. And I honestly thought that I was going to like throw up or leave. Like I was thinking, okay, I want to leave now. I want to just turn around and walk past her. But she had a grip on me, like as if she knew that I was having trepidation. And then she let go and sort of pushed me a little bit. And then I was in character and I was okay.
Yeah.
So that was a wonderful experience. It's an achievement, it's an
Yeah.
achievement for me to do something scary and actually do it. Having said that, it's not on TV yet, so maybe it was terrible. I don't know, but
But it's also like it's funny because I've read somewhere too just about that, and maybe it was on maybe it was on your website, but I read somewhere recently where it's like that adrenaline kick that we kind of miss from when we were younger doing new things. And so it's almost like you're saying it's just like that kind of rush, that adrenaline of I've accomplished something, I've challenged myself. It's just like coming back to that for us, I think.
I think that is the key to to having lots of energy and ambition, is you keep having these little challenges and then success, and then that motivates you for the next challenge. So in terms of what's coming next, that'll be on TV. And then I was also accepted to go back to the Winnipeg Comedy Festival in April for their storytelling show. I have a wonderful story about an experience with my friends and I when we were little kids when we met, and this occurred like 50 years later with the same people.
Is
And
this
then,
peeing on the joint?
yeah, yeah,
It's a great story. I love it.
thank you. And that's an enticing line. It's being on the, yeah, that's it.
We'll just
Um,
leave it at there's the teaser.
yeah. And then the other one is the Halifax Comedy Festival. So I'm super excited. Like these are things that I've known about and admired for years and years.
Mhm.
And for me to actually be on them is beyond exciting for me.
That
Yeah.
is so great. I just love that for you. It's like that sounds sarcastic, but I don't mean it sarcastically at all. Like that's so great.
Yeah. Thanks. It's, I think it's super cool to, um, be ambitious and creative.
Yeah.
I think I get bored somewhat easily. I like having short-term goals and achieving them.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
easier to achieve when they're short term. When you were a kid, like were you a bit of an entertainer or not at all?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was easy, like, yep, I was. Yep.
I wasn't a good student, but I was, I was once I went to post-secondary, like when
Yeah.
I was really interested in the subjects.
Yeah. That makes sense. It's hard to focus and do work on something that you're not interested in.
Well, and also being stoned, it's made a difference.
I never really did that, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, yeah. I had a bit of a phase in high school, but I got through it.
So for the women that are listening that are, hesitant to kind of jump into their next thing or their goal that they're too afraid to kind of achieve or try to get into, do you have any words of wisdom, Syd?
Well, I think for it to be something that you're passionate about, something that matters to you. And for myself, I have tended to make all the arrangements, like the logistical arrangements, like join the class and then fret afterwards. But you've paid for the class, so you tend to do it. That's been my MO. Like I book a flight and then I figure out, oh, geez, okay, so I guess I'm doing that.
So to summarize, your words of wisdom is commit, then fret.
Commit, fret, achieve in that order. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. 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 I think it's like I feel like turning 40 was really good. I really realized what matters to me and what doesn't matter to me, and it was good for me. And then 50 was even better, and honestly, 60's been even better. I face these things as having like, and this is where I'm different from my comedy peers in that they talk about like long-term goals and stuff. I don't know how much time I have to be able to do this, not just because of my own health, but because of Ron too. Like there's
Mhm.
gonna be a time when I can't leave him anymore. I mean, he's fine right now, but it's a progressive disorder. And so I don't know how long I've got. So I try to jump into things and then and fret and then figure out the details afterwards. But the other thing is too that nobody hands us anything. It's not been my experience that, not being like a pretty girl or whatever it takes. I'm not sure, but nobody's handed me anything. Like anything that I have accomplished, I've decided I wanted to do, and I figured out how to do it myself. And then if I needed help, I asked for help, like with my website and stuff like that. I definitely asked for help. But no, I didn't get discovered and, brought out of Costco. I worked really hard to get to where I am.
So you weren't like a cashier at Costco cracking jokes with your
Yeah,
patrons, and then somebody's like, "You should be on stage."
that's right. That didn't happen for me. Maybe it happened somewhere else, but that didn't happen for me.
That only happens in movies.
Yeah,
It doesn't
well,
really happen in real life. I'm so looking forward to seeing you one day in Toronto. Your shows are so funny. I love comedy. I love stand-up comedy. And who knows, maybe one day you'll be my mentor.
you're doing improv, you said?
Yeah. We
See,
improv at
like,
Second City.
I think you guys are way smarter than us. Like, oh my God. I've done improv because I was part of training for stand-up and oh my goodness, you guys have to be like know what's going on in the world. Like it's
Well, I can't say I'm the one. I'm the one. It's like I'm perimenopausal. So sometimes, like, and I'm pretty sure I'm the oldest one in the group, which is why this woman constantly refers to me as like, I miss my mom. All right. But there are times where we're doing a scene and then I forget like a really simple word. And then I'm like, and then someone's like, do you mean tree? I'm like, yeah, that's actually what I meant. Okay. The tall thing with the birds like sit on the top of it.
yeah. I have a set list on the stool and I'm keeping it there. People do whatever 20 minutes or whatever or 40 minutes without a set. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how
Yeah.
they do it. I have my set list there and it just makes me feel better. There's no freaking way that I can remember my
Yeah.
40-minute set. Jesus, you know?
Yeah. I definitely could not.
And I want to say too that one of the coolest things about doing stand up is the community of being around creative, smart people that, backstage, everybody's doing whatever it is that they do on the verge of puking or, for me, I meditate like before a show. If I can, I listen to a meditation recording for courage and confidence. And I feel like that's made a big difference. But if I'm working with somebody that I know and I'm following somebody and the shows that I'm on, comics are almost always really, really good now. Yeah, if I follow somebody really good, I'll look at one of the other comics and say, I'm funny too, right? Like, and they say, yeah, you're funny. Get out there, you're funny. Because you just like, holy shit, am I funny? Like,
Well, it becomes a mind fuck for sure. I could totally
it's
see that.
really, yeah, it's really mind over matter doing something that you've always wanted to do. Yeah, it's a very cool thing. I hope people listening to this get encouraged. And it's like I said, this particular art form is a very um it's a privilege because I get to travel, and there might be something creative and lovely that you want to do that isn't bloody stand up. Maybe you want to start drawing or painting or writing or whatever. I think creativity keeps us happy.
I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. I mean, I've been a creative my entire life, and I definitely, the times where I've had like slower periods in my life for work, that's when I start getting down and,
Yeah.
and things happen
Yeah.
in my life where it's like, I just need to be working and creating to.
Yeah. Yeah, I hadn't realized that about myself. I now identify as a creative. And
Yeah.
that is seriously, like, the last couple months, I've come to realize that when I'm not working, like you said, I definitely feel, um, antsy and, I wanna accomplish something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
It's funny how, like, with me, when I'm not on set, because work this time of year tends to get slow for working on set. Like, not many people are shooting TV commercials, especially in Toronto because it's really snowy here, and print stuff starts to pick up kind of more March. And so when you're leading up to that and you don't really work that much, then you start thinking, "Am I good at my job? Do people hate me?"
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right.
The trials and tribulations of being an artist, but it always pays off in the end.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Thanks for tuning in to the Fuck You 50s. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to follow and rate the podcast. And we would love to connect with you on Instagram. So be sure to follow us at the Fuck You 50s. The Fuck You 50s is hosted by Andrea Claire. See you next time.